The attorney who wins online is not always the best attorney. It's often the attorney who explains things the clearest because before someone even books a consultation, they're already searching. They're watching videos, reading posts, and trying to figure out who they can trust. And if your law firm, if your solo practice is invisible on YouTube, if it's silent on LinkedIn, and if it's only posting generic legal updates on social media, well, you're missing out on a lot more than just content opportunities. You're missing conversations that are already happening without you. Now, most attorneys think that podcasting, YouTube, and social media are marketing channels, but I think that's too small of thinking. That's not using your imagination properly. They're not just marketing channels, they are trust building channels. If you think about, like, we all see like those billboards coming off the freeway and there's some attorney there. We see them all the time. And you remember maybe their name, and then maybe a step further from that is like a website tells people what you do, right? So billboard, name, website, what you do. But that podcast, that YouTube video that kind of has the same content as the podcast, or a thoughtful LinkedIn post, which is all kind of offshoots of that main content, all of that can show people how you think. And I think for attorneys, that really matters because clients are not only buying legal services, they're buying judgment, clarity, confidence, and the feeling that someone can guide them through a stressful situation, maybe one of the most stressful situations of their entire lives. So let's start with podcasting. Podcasting is one of the best formats for attorneys because it gives you time. It gives you the space for the nuance. You're not trying to cram a legal topic into a 7-second clip. You can explain, you can tell stories, you can ask better questions, interview experts, and show your personality. A family law attorney could do episodes on custody myths, divorce preparation, or mistakes people make before mediation. If you're a personal injury attorney, you could explain what really happens after an accident, how insurance companies evaluate claims, or why your documentation matters and how to do that properly. A business attorney could talk about contracts, partnership disputes, hiring, acquisitions, or protecting a company before something goes wrong. And here's something else is your podcast does not have to be famous to be valuable. We call these chasing the vanity metrics. Does it really matter if your podcast has 1,000 subscribers versus 1 million? Even if your podcast only reaches a niche audience, it can become a powerful credibility asset. You send episodes specifically to certain prospects. You educate referral partners about how they can refer the right people to you. You turn that long form spoken content into blog posts, YouTube clips, LinkedIn posts, email newsletters, short videos. The podcast is not just the final product. It's the content engine, and YouTube is a big part of it. Podcasting, sure, there's audio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, but YouTube may be the most underrated platform in the entire marketing mix for attorneys specifically, because people search YouTube when they want answers. They want to know what happens after a DUI arrest. They want to know, how does probate work? They want to know, what should I do after a car accident? They want to know, do I need a lawyer for my business contract? They want to know, what happens during a divorce deposition? And they call this YouTube SEO, search engine optimization. And your prospects are not just making one single search. And who knows what the phrasing, and is it long or is it short, or what shows up already? You create videos around the questions your potential clients are already asking. And I know where this is headed next because it's getting into confusion land. So many attorneys overcomplicate search engine optimization. SEO is not just about stuffing keywords into a title. It's about matching your video to a real human problem. And that means that your title should sound like a question a client would actually type. Don't just say, Episode 14 with managing partner John Smith. Instead, consider this. What happens after you're served divorce papers? Don't say legal insights, personal injury claims. Consider this one. Car accident claim. 5 mistakes that can hurt your case. The title should be clear. The thumbnail preview should be simple. The first 15 seconds should tell the viewer exactly what they are going to learn, and the video itself needs to deliver. YouTube looks at whether the video seems relevant to the search, including the title, description, and content, and also whether viewers engage with it. So the goal is not just to rank. The real goal is to answer that question so well that people keep watching. And YouTube's own guidance says that it considers how well title, description, and video content match the search plus engagement for that search. So YouTube, podcasting, but now social media. This is where so many lawyers, they get so weird. Either they post nothing or they post content that is so polished and lifeless that it sounds like it was written by a committee of robots in a conference room. Now, professionalism does not have to mean being boring. You can be ethical, accurate, and professional while still being human. Social media is where you build visibility through smarter, more frequent touch points. And LinkedIn is great for attorneys who serve business owners, professionals, executives, referral partners, and other firms. And then Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts can work really well for consumer-facing practices, depending on that audience. So you post everywhere, sure, but you focus on who you serve, you know where they spend time, you create content that makes them stop and think, hey, this person understands my problem. Now, a good attorney post might be 3 things I wish every founder knew before signing a partnership agreement, or what not to say to an insurance adjuster after a car accident, or why winning custody is the wrong way to think about parenting time. That is useful. That is specific. That builds trust. And now, one important warning. Attorneys cannot create content the same way every influencer does. You have advertising rules, you have confidentiality obligations, you have jurisdiction-specific requirements. You need to avoid those misleading claims, guarantees, careless testimonials, and anything that creates the wrong expectation. And the ABA model rules say a lawyer may communicate information about legal services through any media, but communications cannot be false or misleading, and communications under Rule 7.2 must include the name and contact information of at least one responsible lawyer or law firm. Always check those rules in your own jurisdiction and create content, but do it like a lawyer. Be clear, careful, accurate. Use disclaimers where appropriate, and never turn someone else's legal problem into your content without permission. So here's the big idea. Podcasting builds depth. YouTube builds search visibility. Social media builds awareness and conversation. And together, they help attorneys do something incredibly powerful. They help you become familiar before someone ever contacts your firm. And that matters because trust does not start at the consultation. Trust starts the first time someone hears you explain their problem clearly. So stop thinking of content creation as a side project. For modern law firms, content is not just marketing. Content is education. It's authority. It's reputation. And in a crowded legal market, the attorney who communicates clearly, consistently, and credibly is going to have a serious advantage.